clear, though. With this bill in place, how would this not, I mean, if they can't go to the jails to get people, how would this not lead to increased street enforcement?
I'm not sure I'm going to be able to answer your question directly, but let me just give you a little background, because I'm under no illusion that the enforcement of federal immigration laws fall exclusively under the jurisdiction of the federal government, Homeland Security, ICE, as well as Customs and Border Patrol. There's nothing that the Chief of Police, Charlie Beck, or I, or Mayor Eric Garcetti, or for that matter, the Governor of the State of California, can do to prevent the federal immigration authorities from doing their job, which is to enforce federal immigration laws. There's no symbolic measures that we can pass at a local, state level. Senate Bill 54 is not going to prohibit federal immigration authorities from doing their job, which is to enforce federal immigration laws, wherever there may be undocumented individuals. I'm clearly cognizant of that. What this measure does specifically is it deals with local law enforcement as it relates to our undocumented population in the state of California. In other words, it doesn't allow the federal government to commandeer local police officers to be an extension of the Trump deportation machine. It will prevent the authorities from actually doing their duties, their jobs. But going back to what I said a moment earlier, which are 2 points. One that Charlie just mentioned, and my original point is the news flashes, they're already doing it right now as we speak. And secondly, there's already been official communication and non-official communication with the federal government. If in fact we were to change that, would it stop them from doing what they're doing? And the answer was unequivocally no. Next one. Next question.
En español.
Eso fue demasiado, ¿no?
Para que
sí, por favor.
La SB54 no va a evitar que las autoridades federales hagan su trabajo. La SB54, aclarar que la SB54 no va a evitar que las autoridades federales hagan su trabajo, justamente.
Bueno, así es que quisiera yo enfatizar lo siguiente. La propuesta 54, el Acta de los Valores del Estado de California, el objetivo, el fin, la meta de esta propuesta es parar en seco la ocupación de nuestros agentes policíacos a nivel local con el gobierno federal. O sea, en pocas palabras, que nuestros impuestos como contribuyentes no se puede utilizar los recursos, la policía local como una extensión, un ramo del gobierno federal, en pocas palabras, sobre las deportaciones de nuestra gente trabajadora aquí en este gran país. Reconociendo también que el papel del gobierno federal es enforzar las políticas públicas, las leyes federales cuando se toca sobre el asunto de migración. No existe ni una sola frase ni párrafo en la 54 que puede prevenir el trabajo del gobierno federal. El enfoque, el objetivo principal es de parar la cooperación de nuestra policía local con el gobierno federal. Punto y parte.
Y si de pronto hubiera una presión del gobierno federal y dijera, qué pena con ustedes, pero ustedes tienen que enforzar la ley federal y tienen que ir a detener indocumentados y colaborar con nosotros, ¿cómo podrían ustedes prevenir que la policía en realidad lo haga a nivel local?
Es
que yo hablo muy rápido. Sí. Si existe...
Eres venezolana, ¿verdad?
Colombiana. Si hay presión del gobierno federal para que la policía a nivel nacional colabore con ellos y entonces haya más detenciones de indocumentados y existen todas las amenazas de recortar recursos a nivel federal, etcétera, para que se tenga que colaborar con ICE, por decirlo de alguna manera, ¿cómo pueden ustedes prevenir que eso pase y asegurarle en realidad a la comunidad que sí los van a proteger a pesar de eso?
Bueno, que quede muy claro, a pesar de todas las amenazas por parte del gobierno federal, particularmente del presidente Trump, igual como el fiscal general de los Estados Unidos, Jeff Sessions, tenemos con nosotros también la presencia del ex fiscal del Departamento de Justicia, Eric Holder. Las amenazas de tener fondos, recursos necesarios, por ejemplo, para los ancianos, para jóvenes, recursos, el tráfico humano, armas de tráfico, también los carteles, etcétera, etcétera, nos siguen amenazando. Ya ganamos en la corte la primera ronda en contra de la administración de Trump. Y si siguen amenazando al Estado de California debido a la 54, estamos preparados y listos a pelear este asunto en la Corte Federal en los Estados Unidos en contra de la administración. Eric, maybe you'd like to mention the question she has is the issue of the continuous threats from the Department of Justice to local law enforcement, withholding dollars, and what is our perspective?
En inglés. Lo siento. No, we are legal counsel to the Senate, and there are two bases that I think people need to understand. The federal government does not have, and there are a line of Supreme Court cases that say this, doesn't have the ability to force the states to use its resources to do things that are inherently federal in nature. So the federal government cannot order California to do federal immigration law. And then there's another line of Supreme Court cases that says that the federal government doesn't have the ability to punish states that decide they're going to use their resources in a particular way. You can't coerce states into doing things that states do not want to do by threatening to withhold federal support. So on those two bases, we think that this act is both constitutional, it is good policy, and that the threats that are emanating from the Trump administration in Washington are ultimately unconstitutional and baseless.
And on the same subject, let me add this one piece. This is not a money issue to the City of Los Angeles or the Los Angeles Police Department. I don't care how much money the federal government withholds from us. We do not believe that it is legal for us to do this, nor do we believe that it is proper for us to do this. The money is, of course, a concern, but your principles cannot be bought, and ours won't.
Why is there so much divide between sheriff's stations, sheriff's departments, and police stations?
Well, sheriffs are elected, and sheriffs have a different role in enforcement. I think that if you were to talk, if a sheriff was up here, their concern is about limiting access to the jail, and of course, I don't run a full-time jail, so my issues are different than theirs. And then I would also add that in many rural communities, the sheriffs are strictly the jailer, and so community trust is maybe not as important to them as it is to me. We look at things through different eyes.
So you think the sheriff's department is less empathetic to their own community, or what do you mean by when you said that?
Well, if your sole responsibility, then this is not true in LA, but in other jurisdictions, I think San Francisco and some others, the sheriff's sole responsibility is the jail. They don't have a patrol responsibility. And if you don't have a patrol responsibility, then what you look for from legislation is very different, and it may not matter to you as much about the trust component. Los Angeles Police Department is pure enforcement. We not only trade on trust, but we can't operate without trust. And so whatever minor increases or minor ability to direct criminal activity, to address criminal activity, might be gained from inserting ICE into our jails, it is far surpassed by the negative impact on people's reporting and witnesses reporting. There is no free lunch in any of this. All of this is a balance. We are trying to strike the appropriate balance for Los Angeles, the appropriate balance for California, in making sure that people are free and that they're safe. And those things are often have a conflict that has to be resolved. And I think our point is that we have spent a lot of time with Senator De Leon's staff ensuring that the details of SB54 meet those requirements. So they keep Los Angeles and California safe, but they also make sure that the constitutional right, and believe me, this is a constitutional issue, the constitutional rights of people that are undocumented are also maintained. This is a very delicate balance. It has to be done very smartly. This is not just a law and order issue. It's not just a legislation issue. It's both, and you have to find the right balance. And I believe 54 is the right balance.
We have time for one more question. You're saying that you say that it's too much leeway. I mean, there's not enough hard facts, or there's not enough assurance that the hardened criminals who are undocumented that they'll be too protected. Can you respond to that?
That's absolutely not true. Let me state this is why, and let me, for the record, say unequivocally that is completely false, erroneous, that's inaccurate, and that is being used for political reasons to whip up a frenzy for the opposition to this measure. Let me be very clear here. A couple points that I underscored. One is that if in fact you are a resident of the California correctional facilities of the state of California, 60 days prior to your release date, the federal authorities, FBI specifically, and Homeland Security will be notified of your 60-day imminent departure. That being said, it's completely up to ICE or any other federal police agency to be at the front of that door and be a receiving party if in fact they wish to do so. That has never been part of California law. It will be on the back end with this measure. Secondly, let me emphasize the following. ICE can get access to any individual that they want currently in possession of any county jail, or for that matter, any local police department facility in the state of California. All they have to do is secure a judicial warrant. It's that simple. Now, if you are if you are a convicted felon, which you're referring to the serious ones, someone who's convicted of a violent or serious crime in California, and this is the criteria that we have utilized with a very controversial measure, the most draconian one of its kind in the history of the state, the 3 strikes law. We use that criteria when we're talking about very serious individuals. Local police officers, as well as local sheriffs, have the ability, free and clear, to engage with ICE and say, we have this individual within our possession. So there's been a lot of erroneous, narratives that have been pushed out there, with regards to Senate Bill 54. And let me go a step further also too, because it's my belief, and I know that the men and women here today also share that same belief, that regardless of who you are and where you come from, whether you're from Ireland or India, and if you commit a serious, heinous crime in the United States, specifically here in California, we believe strongly that you should be, in fact, convicted, if in fact that's what the prosecution secures before a jury or a judge. And if so, you should do your time in a California prison. You should not commit a crime in California and then have ICE come pluck you or snatch you out of jail and deport you to your country of origin, only for you to come back once, twice, or 3 times to victimize other individuals. So we're strong believers that you should actually be convicted if in fact that's what the prosecution secures before a jury, and serve your time and have the victims of that crime or victim of the crime seek justice or remedy that situation. When you take the case of Kate Steinle, the famous case that has been really blown up in San Francisco, this individual was not deported once, not twice, not 3 times, not 4 times, but 5 times, which is proof positive that a detention and deportation of an individual who has no good on his or her mind, is not going to make Californians safer. Senate Bill 54, the California Values Act, actually makes our communities safer. Let me take it one more step further than that, because it's been very clear here. When you have the top police chief of America, Charlie Beck, representatives of the Long Beach Police as well as Sacramento, and others wanted to be here, they just couldn't be here physically because they're out of the state right now. When they are saying to you as experts, as practitioners in the field with more than 10, 20, 30, 40, in some cases 50 years of experience, that if in fact Jeff Sessions' plan moves forward to commandeer local police officers to be an extension of the Trump deportation machine, then in fact crime will increase, not decrease. This measure here, Senate Bill 54, will decrease crime. This shouldn't be subject to the AM far right-wing talk shows that really whip up a frenzy and create, something that is inaccurate. And that's why we really want to emphasize that right there. And let me add another point here too, because I think it was going back to the issue, I think from Telemundo. with regards of the threats to withhold dollars. Threats to withhold dollars from the state of California, if we move forward with Senate Bill 54, it's not only illegal, it's unconstitutional. In fact, it's un-American. Because when we have resources that belong to the people of California, the taxpayers of California, as a donor state, when you withhold dollars, or attempt to withhold dollars, or threaten to withhold dollars to children who are on the spectrum of Asperger's or autism, or senior citizens who have the early signs of dementia, if you don't do what I tell you to do, I'm going to hurt these people. In the first round in the United States District Court of Law, they already lost that. And the judge said very clearly, that's illegal. You can't do that. That's unconstitutional. Now the Department of Justice with Jeff Sessions have narrowed down the definition, withholding precious dollars, and now he's going after our local police departments up and down the state of California. Human trafficking, international drug cartels, the trafficking of high-powered assault weapons, as well as dealing with drugs and other types of international crime syndicates, as well as the issue of terrorism and terrorist cells. By withholding those precious dollars from our local police officers who need it to keep us safe in our own state, in our own nation, is just unconscionable. And again, it's going to be proven to be illegal, unconstitutional, and quite frankly, un-American. This is not who we are as a great state. And I know I said last thing, let me add another last thing. On Friday afternoon, we got a phone call from the Sheriff's Association, who have asked us to continue the dialogue, who have asked us to continue the conversations. So we are continuing our conversations with the California Sheriff Association, as well as my good friend, Sheriff Jim McDonald, the County Sheriffs of Los Angeles. So I just want to really thank our Police Chief Charlie Beck and our representatives from Long Beach, as well as Sacramento, because these are very thoughtful individuals who maybe across the spectrum, whether they're Democrats or Republicans, but understand that if we're going to decrease crime, not increase it, we can't fall, victim to the threats of the current administration. And lastly, I just want to say, I want to thank my outside legal counsel, the good men and women of the Covington Law Firm. Eric, I want to thank you very much for your expertise, for you vetting this measure 54, and I want to thank you just for your incredible services as a great attorney general. We'll do one-on-one. What we'll do is we'll do one-on-ones for those who we have Charlie Beck here, we have Eric Holder, Linda Lopez, Captain Beasley, as well as representatives from Long Beach who are available for one-on-ones. With that, thank you very much, everybody. Gracias.